European ingratitude for American protection. For over 80 years, the United States has stood as the primary guardian of European freedom, sacrificing American lives, resources, and military power to ensure Europe remains secure. Yet, despite our continuous efforts, many Europeans have been dismissive, even outright hostile, to our presence, looking down their noses at us as if we were an occupying force rather than their protectors. They didn't want us there, but they needed us. From the moment U.S. forces landed on European soil in World War I and again in World War II, the American military presence has been the only thing standing between Europe and complete disaster. The French were overrun in Ingratitude in just 6 weeks. If not for America's intervention, they would likely speak German today. The British barely held on during the Battle of Britain. They might not have survived the war without U.S. economic and military aid. Germany was occupied by U.S. forces after WE, ensuring that Western Germany didn't fall under Soviet control like East Germany, which suffered under communism for 40 years. After the war, American bases remained to deter Soviet aggression, at great expense to U.S. taxpayers, even as many Germans resented our presence and acted as though we were the intruders. They didn't want us there, yet they depended on us for survival. The hypocrisy is staggering. The cost America paid, and they still look down on us. 1. Financial and military sacrifices. The U.S. spent billions rebuilding Europe under the Marshall Plan, money that could have gone toward our own people, but was used to ensure Europe didn't collapse into further chaos. We stationed thousands of troops across Western Europe, funding military bases, providing advanced weaponry, and covering training expenses, while European nations underfunded their own militaries and enjoyed their socialist welfare states. Whenever we conducted military maneuvers on their soil, we paid for any damages, something no other occupying force in history has done. The U.S. paid for NATO's defense for decades, while European countries failed to contribute their fair share, some spending as little as 1% of their GDP on defense. 2. European snobbery and disdain for America. Despite all we've done, many Europeans look down on Americans, mocking our culture, our patriotism, and even our military strength. They sneer at American fast food, entertainment, and cowboy culture, yet have no problem consuming our media, taking our defense money, and relying on American companies for technology and innovation. Anti-Americanism is common in Europe, despite the fact that they owe their very freedom to American soldiers who fought and died on their soil. 3. They take credit for their peace, but it was bought with American blood. Europeans like to act as if their long period of peace after WE2 was because of their civilized diplomacy. The reality? They have lived under an American security umbrella, protected by U.S. nuclear deterrence, military presence, and global influence. They protest U.S. military bases, but the moment Russia invades Ukraine, they beg for American weapons, support, and leadership. 2 world wars. They owe us everything, yet they refuse to say thank you. World War I in 1917-1918. The U.S. turned the tide of the war when Europe had exhausted itself in trench warfare. Over 116,000 American soldiers died in a war that wasn't even ours to fight. France and Britain were barely holding on, and Germany might have won without U.S. reinforcements. World War II, 1941-1945. Europe was on the brink of total Nazi domination. The U.S. landed at Normandy, broke through Hitler's fortress Europe, liberated France, and pushed into Germany. Over 400,000 Americans died in Double White, and yet many Europeans today downplay our role, focusing only on their own resistance movements, which were insignificant in comparison. Now that we're stepping back, they suddenly want to build their own defenses. For decades, Europe has been a welfare state of America, spending its money on socialized healthcare and public programs while relying on the U.S. for military defense. With America shifting focus to China and domestic issues, European nations are scrambling to build their own militaries. Germany, after decades of underfunding its military, is suddenly rushing to rearm itself. France and Germany want an EU army, despite having failed to contribute to NATO for decades. Europeans realize they are weak and vulnerable without America, but instead of being grateful, they respond with arrogance and resentment. The bottom line, we saved them, protected them, paid their way, and they still look down on us. The United States has done more for European freedom than any other country in modern history. We paid the price in blood, and yet they refuse to acknowledge our sacrifices. We shielded them from Soviet aggression while they mocked us as warmongers. We kept their countries safe, yet they insult American culture and look down on our people. Now, they want to pretend they never needed us, even as they rush to rebuild their defenses after decades of freeloading off America. Europeans may never say thank you, but history will never forget what we have done for them.